They were the Hollywood icons of the World War II era.
Me?
Inspiring fashion designers, everyday women, and the boys overseas.
It's a miracle!
Roy, you're alive!
You're watching the only show on television for movie fans where the fashion takes a front row seat. Hi everyone, in honor of the debut of the original series Bomb Girls on Reels, today we're shining the style spotlight on the iconic movies and stars of the World War II era. Women in the late 1930s and early 40s were experiencing a major societal shift. Whereas life had always meant only managing households and raising children, now as a result of World War II and their husbands and sons off to fight, suddenly women were called to go to work outside the home for the first time.
You have women entering the workplace in huge numbers, and they're not willing to wear uncomfortable corsets and undergarments. They're starting to wear pants.
Once the war really got started, particularly here in the United States, women's dress lost a lot of that kind of feminine feeling. It became very masculine, very suit-like, very uniform-like. Strong, heavy shoulders that were mimicking kind of the suits and uniforms that guys were wearing. Lots of pared down, darker colors. It was a very serious time because the guys were away and women were actually going into business. They were taking over a lot of those jobs and they needed to kind of reflect that in their clothing.
And during the war, Hollywood movies served as an important and popular escape.
Movie attendance shot up during the war. In some cases, people went just for escape, to get away from the daily routine, maybe to get away from heartache in their daily lives, missing their loved ones. In some cases, they went because they saw these beautiful people, larger than life, handsome and beautiful stars, who gave them kind of a lift.
Up until this point, the fashion world looked to European designers for inspiration.
You know, the last time I wore this gown, it seems like ages.
But with Europe at war, Hollywood movies influenced what women were wearing.
I know it's foolish and extravagant. I don't know what my husband will say, but I simply got to have it.
The styles of stars like Betty Grable, Lana Turner, Deanna Durbin, and Greer Garson lit up the big screen during the dark days of war. One of the biggest movie stars of her day was Ingrid Bergman.
Play it once, Sam. For all time's sake.
Oh, I can't remember it myself. I'm a little rusty on it.
I'll hum it for you. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Ingrid Bergman in Casablanca is quintessential war years. The movie came out right in the middle of the war. It wasn't expected to be the huge hit that it became, and of course the mega classic film that it is now. She was new in Hollywood, and the outfits she wears in that movie are very simple, clean lines, very elegant. She still has a shoulder pad look, but it's not aggressive.
The fabric was really the ticket in Casablanca, linens and cottons and lightweight, but she was also very strong. There was a little safari influence and a military influence that you saw in a lot of fashion in film at the time.
A beautiful piece of jewelry, something that was very simple. She was supposed to be a very diminutive, elegant person, and it showed through her clothes and then showed through her face and her eyes and her acting ability.
But what about us?
We'll always have Paris. We didn't have, we lost it until you came to Casablanca. We got it back last night.
When I said I would never leave you.
And you never will.
And then there was Vivien Leigh, best known for her role as Scarlett O'Hara in Gone with the Wind, who became a huge fashion icon because of it. During the war, she co-starred with Robert Taylor in the tragic romance Waterloo Bridge, and it really hit audiences close to home.
Oh, Roy, you're alive.
Yes, extravagantly. Oh, my poor darling.
Vivien Leigh is a ballerina at the beginning of the film and becomes a prostitute by the end. And in between, she has a love affair with, the great love of her life, who was a British aristocrat. But he goes away, and she thought he died. And so she had to support herself, so she becomes a prostitute. Her costumes in the film go from very, very diminutive, very sweet, very angelic, very virginal, all the way through tardy, made up, overly done, garish colors and prints. You see how sad and how her character kind of really goes down the strata of society to the very bottom. And it's all through the clothes that she wears.
But when it comes to the ultimate glamour girl of the World War II era, no one could hold a candle to Rita Hayworth.
Me?
Rita Hayworth was a pinup goddess. She was really, her look in Hollywood was geared much more for men than it was for women. She was one of the very few women who was allowed to stay soft. She had long, wavy hair. You know, during the war years, that was not really the fashion. Women pinned their hair up. But because Hollywood also needed to gear their movies not just towards women, but also towards the sailors and the soldiers, they needed a feminine ideal. Rita Hayworth's image was pinned on, you know, locker room doors. It was put on the sides of bomber planes. It was actually painted onto some bombs and just saying, here, we're going to send Rita Hayworth to blow you to smithereens.
So Rita Hayworth in Blood and Sand really embodied the glamour of this period, showing more skin, which was something that really wasn't done. Women were a little more buttoned up and conservative. The glamour, the shine of the fabric, the sweetheart neckline, which was a very important style in fashion during World War II. Of course, the hair, the red lip.
Remember that horse we stole? Remember what happened to it?
What happened?
We ate the horse.
You did? How did it taste?
Never the pinup girl, but one of the greatest actresses of all time, Bette Davis won over audiences.
In this rat race, everybody's guilty till they're proved innocent. One of the differences between the theater and civilization.
And her style could not be ignored.
Bette Davis was a stage-trained actress who came to Hollywood in the early 30s and wasn't a conventional beauty and fought against playing conventional heroines, damsels in distress.
Her movie style embodied all the different things. You saw the opulence and the drama of period pieces, the utilitarian looks and the heavy tweed jackets and the white shirts and the skinny belts. You saw her a little down-dressed, a little masculine, and then you saw her very strong and very almost glamorous with ruffled shirts and serious hats. This is an iconic film woman who really embodied all of the fashion of the period.
So while the glamour of Hollywood was alive and well on-screen, off-screen, the reality of a brutal world war dictated the styles and trends of the time.
During the war, fabric was rationed. It was a very, very patriotic time for this country. Everything you could go without, you did. Women were taking apart old knitted things and re-knitting socks for the boys in the army. So it was a very creative time, actually, for clothing. You were supposed to wear stockings, hose, and a lot of women would donate their hose. They would donate their ration cards so that they could make parachutes for the boys on the front, but you were still supposed to wear hose, and it was, you know, very outre not to be wearing hose. So they'd take an eyeliner pencil or a piece of charcoal or something and draw a line up the back of their leg to simulate the seam that was in the hose of the day.
Coming up next on MovieStyle, she was a revolutionary style icon for women everywhere. See how Joan Crawford took Hollywood by storm. And then, we're looking at Rachel McAdams and Ryan Gosling and the authentic Hollywood period costumes from The Notebook. And later, see what other contemporary movies made our fashion must list for World War II movie style. Don't go anywhere, fashionistas. We'll be right back.